up, everyone? Welcome into the PHNX Rising Podcast. We are here in a little bit of a different studio than usual. It's kind of racking my brain around it. We're doing the best we can for those of you who are listening on audio. You can't see it, but you got to just take my word for it. But I am Mr. Max David Simpson, and joined by a man who loves pina coladas and getting caught in the rain, Mr. Owain Evans.
Where did that come from?
I told you, buddy. I got you on the intro.
Yeah,
you did, you're a little San Diego, a little beach guy, soaking in all rain.
Yeah, I didn't really go with the pina coladas, I'll be honest.
Did you get caught in the rain?
It did rain a little bit there, actually. Yeah, to be fair, it rained.
1 for 2 ain't bad.
It rained.
Okay,
It rained in San Diego. Yeah. So happy first day of the Open Cup to those who celebrate.
For those who celebrate, man, it's time.
Westchester United at the moment trailing Ocean City Nor'easters by a scoreline of 3-1. Despite the fact that Westchester have got an XG of about twice as much as Ocean City, so
it's really that time of year.
Yeah, it's that time of year.
Gosh,
it's that time of year.
Oh man, well hey, we got a lot to get. Let's see, Mikey in the chat. Guys, we're not making you miss anything, man. You're choosing to watch us. We appreciate you. Well, hey, we got a lot to get into today. Really, we want to first take a look back at this past Sunday's game, the 3-0 defeat against San Diego. We talked a bit on our post-game show. Any additional thoughts or any change of opinion come about since then?
Nice and vague there. Of course, Max throws it in the most negative light possible. Let's toss that scoreline out there, right? 3-0 loss. 3-0 loss.
No,
was
that
bad,
wasn't vague. That wasn't vague. That was a matter-of-fact 3-0.
We already way you could possibly describe it.
No. If you would have watched our post-game show, as the fine people did, they already would have known that we said the 3-0 scoreline did not reflect the actual game. I am stating a fact that it was 3-0. I'm curious if anyone has had change of opinion. That's all. I did not put it any other way, sir.
This negativity, Max.
My gosh, there is no negativity.
How will we possibly, yeah.
Anyway,
No, talking seriously,
oh
though.
My God.
Talking seriously about it now. I think something that we didn't necessarily twig. We didn't really talk about this much on Sunday, but let's talk. There's a good start, actually, Aaron. Talk about expected goals, actually. Yeah. When we really want to break down the idea of, okay, did Phoenix Rising deserve to lose 3-0 in that game? We'll run you through the XG. Of course, XG, for those of you who don't know, it assigns a value to each shot as to, considering where you are, what kind of shot you're taking, how the ball is played into you, where are the defenders, all of those kind of things. It assigns it a value that kind of sums up how many times should that striker be expected to put the ball in the back of the net.
Essentially an XG, so an expected goal of something that's within a 6-yard box uncovered is going to have a higher value than something, 30 yards out.
Yeah, exactly. So if we look at the expected goals figures from that game, you see it San Diego Loyal 1.05, Phoenix Rising 0.89.
Yeah.
That's not that kind of game that screams 3-0 at you.
Not at all.
Of course, the issue, and this is where the distinction is here, is that San Diego were very clinical. San Diego's shots were mostly on target. 7 out of the 10 were on target. For Phoenix Rising, 3 of the 16 shots were on target.
And going even further, out of those 7 on target for San Diego, 3 in the back of the net, that's 1 out of every 2 on target shots. 1 out of every, 1 out of every 3 shots in general are hitting the back of the net. That just doesn't happen.
No. Well, it did. It happened on.
Well, okay, it doesn't normally
happen on Sunday, Max. But when you delve into some of that, though, look, we want to try and take some of the positives here.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of negativity going around this performance that I think is mostly reflected on the scoreline and not necessarily on the performance as a whole. Because that 3-0 scoreline does not reflect realistically what was happening there in that game. I think it's fair to say, as Juan did kind of allude to after the game, he said, look, the result is not reflective of the performance. Yeah. I tend to actually agree with that. I think that the 3-0 scoreline is flattering for San Diego Loyal.
Agreed.
And I think that actually, if you really delve into it, you'd find that San Diego were giving away a lot of chances that teams are leaving sitting. Phoenix Rising, Detroit City, both left chances on the table that possibly they should have done better with. And when San Diego comes up against better teams, they're going to struggle in those cases, right? That's difficult. When you're giving up those chances, yes, you're playing a team like PHNX Rising that have looked, I'm going to be perfectly frank, quite impotent in the attack. You're playing against Detroit City, who are renowned for being impotent in the attack. They were last year. They've got a new set there this year, but even then, they've lost some key pieces. I just feel as though they're a team that are really capitalizing on just playing some teams early in the season that are struggling in front of goal. But from PHNX Rising's perspective, let's take those positives. Let's have a look. We do actually have one of the things we flagged after the last game was Manuel Artega and how his heat map, so looking at where he was, where he's playing the ball on the pitch, was pretty poor in our mind from the first one. He wasn't really, for a guy that was a lone number 9, he wasn't getting into the kind of positions that you'd expect. Against Charleston Battery, a lot of the hot spots on there in that heat map, they're in the middle third of the pitch, right?
So just to make sure for those that are on audio, the direction of play is left to right. Essentially what it's showing is in that first game, the left side of the field, well, again, not great for audio, but the left side of the field being on the defensive side, the right being on the attacking. To Owen's point.
There's not a whole lot in either of the extremities. There's a little bit around certain parts of the penalty area against Charleston Battery, but the vast majority of that, the hot spots in that heat map, they're all down that center third, that middle third. And what it was showing was that Manuel Artega is retreating quite a bit to try and assist in the build-up play. But then that means that conversely, then he's not up there. When he flicks it onto somebody else, he, not being one of the quickest people on the field, is not getting back into that position. Now, if you contrast that with the San Diego Loyal heat map that he had in that game on Sunday. For those of you, again, who can see it here, it's on the right. You actually see a lot more. There is a big patch around that penalty spot that he is occupying. There is a big patch to the right side of the penalty area, just outside and going into the penalty area. And does he drop deeper? Yes, he does. There are still some points in there. I mean, the center circle dot is kickoffs, let's be real. That's why you've got a nice circle there, especially in the San Diego Lower map, that is right planted on that center spot right there. And there's a couple of spots further back where he drops deep, including a little bit of a patch in his own penalty area where when those corners and set pieces are coming in, you want a guy who's capable of winning the ball in the air, even as a striker, to get back there, because if you're going to play it long anyway, you probably want someone more like a Danny Trejo, who's got that little bit more pace, who's going to cause a bit more of a problem in a fast counter-attack in that kind of situation. But you just see a lot more in this second heat map there of just him getting involved, getting active in the play in the final third. And that's got to be a positive.
100%. And I think, this isn't something where this is wholly based solely on Arteaga and his movement. We definitely noticed that if you watch both matches, the buildup against Charleston Battery was just not there. It was something where you wanted to see the team knock it around, but really they knocked it around through the back. They were trying to play out the back completely extensively, and Arteaga was just not high enough up the field to really benefit. And that's why you saw for large stretches of that first match in the season opener, there was just really no way for him to get the ball. Rising as a whole barely even crossed in to Charleston's opposition. Now, you contrast that against the San Diego Loyal match where the passing out the back was much better. They were able to bypass that into the midfield, and we'll talk about it in a bit, but really the addition of Carlos Harvey, I believe, really helped to progress that forward. But that's where you show that Arteaga was able to get in a bit more, have touches in more dangerous areas. And honestly, he did have a little bit of like a physicality up front. He was, he drew a couple fouls, but he was really pressing, getting high up the field. And, yes, we already touched on a chat. I see Mike saying that, there earlier that he definitely had should have had 1.0 XG himself for that miss that he had in the match against San Diego. But he's getting in better positions. And that to me is a byproduct of the team passing better as a whole.
Yeah, and I mean, that 1.0 XG, let's be perfectly frank, you didn't take a shot, I don't believe, on that attempt, so it doesn't even count for the purposes of XG. Right. But that one ball that went across the face of goal, probably, I think it was around the 64th minute or so. No, he had to get something on that. I'm sorry, a centre forward, when that ball is played in that kind of distance from you, you have pretty much only the keeper to beat, and you are right in front of the goal centrally. No, you chuck anything at that ball. You have to get something on that.
Clint
You
Dempsey, if
can't
need
just
to.
let that go across the face of goal. That will cost you. It did in this case. That goal would have made it 1-1.
Yeah.
Could have completely changed the outcome of this game at that point. But yeah, to your point about Carlos Harvey, I think that we mentioned it on the post-game show about how Carlos Harvey was actually someone who was creating a good outlet for them out of the back. And when you look at some of the passing data that we had, I mean, last week the passes were, I mean, all the top 5 combinations were some combination of defender to defender, defender to goalkeeper, goalkeeper to defender. Actually, 2 of the top 5 passing combinations this past game were Carlos Harvey to Renzo Zambrano and Renzo Zambrano back to Carlos Harvey. Yeah. And those passes were a lot higher up the pitch. What they do is paint a picture of how they are moving it out of that defense to those 2 who are then working between the 2 of them to try and kickstart the attack out of the back. Well, that's a massive improvement from before. And absolutely, I know something that you personally highlighted here was actually the touch map for Carlos Harvey, which we can have a look at here. And for those of you again on audio, I'm sorry, sometimes these things aren't the most helpful, but he's got touches all over that pitch. Like, that is just a mess. I don't know even where to pinpoint when you're looking at this. Yeah. It's hard to say what position he's playing. Well, that's but he's just everywhere.
No, he's here, he's there, he's every bleeping where. No, it's amazing. Like, really, in that first match, we saw that the man with the leading touches, I believe, was Daniel Crutzen, or it was one of the center backs. Carlos Harvey was the man in San Diego who had the most touches. And if, as you're looking on this, I'll describe it as best I can for those who are on audio, he really is everywhere. His touches, it's a bit in that in between his defensive third and the beginning of the midfield third, but really he has touches in, multiple touches in the offensive third, in the 18-yard box, even one right pretty much on the penalty spot. And it's something where he had a really nice movement of when they're on offense, he would transition from, he'd drop into the back line when he needed to, but then just so seamlessly go forward into that, that number kind of 6, even in times the number 8 role, not only would pass it forward, but would be able to carry the ball forward. He made that run in the first half where he took on 3 defenders, and that was the one where the shot just missed out. But I mean, shoot, he took on 3 guys, got fouled in there, and he was doing that all match. A guy like that who's able to kind of be positionless in a way where, hey, I'll sit back in a defense when I need to. I can go forward when I need to. He's a guy who he has the capability to do that, and you can see that reflected in the touch map.
Yeah, just honestly, look, when we started that game, I was there chatting with some of the owners in San Diego at that time, and the comment that was just told to me was, look at Carlos Harvey, look at him, look at the fact that he is just a player who should not be at this level. He is high. He honestly probably deserves more of a chance at a higher level than at PHNX Rising, and he showed it. He showed it in that game. He showed it the week before when he was on international duty with Panama, and he gets that headed goal in there. He really, I think, and Michael says it in here, for sure our best player. Yeah, he was. He was in that game. And I think that what it showed is some of those concerns from the first game about the way that the passing was quite stagnant. It was very slow. Yeah. It was just all along that back line, and they're going side to side and then back to the keeper and then to the other side. And it just, they didn't really have an outlet. Carlos Harvey can be that outlet. He can be the guy that turns what is a possession-based style that you worry sometimes can be quite stagnant, that can get trapped at the back, and that is the downside to the possessive-based style. It can happen. It happens. If you don't have the creativity in there, you're going to struggle to get it out of positions that, and especially once you've given up the lead, because the other team don't have to care. They don't have to press. They don't have to give you those spaces. Look, he's just a very, very good player in that kind of position. And I mean, it actually shows if you look at some of the numbers, right? You look at just the number of passes that were attempted in various different positions and compare it to that Charleston game. Mm-hmm. Against Charleston, 32% of Rising's attempted passes, they come in the opposition half. Against San Diego, that's up to 41%. Against Charleston, passes in the final third, 13% of the attempted passes come in the final third. 24% against San Diego. There's still things that need to be sorted out here, okay? There are still things that they need to fix. I think one of the biggest things is that they're not really creating chances. They're not getting the final ball into the penalty area. They're not I mean, even when they do work the ball in there, the finishing hasn't been great so far. But there's a definite marked improvement just in how they were putting together and implementing Juan Guerra's style in terms of, yes, you're working out at the back. You're playing a little bit slower, perhaps, in that sense. You're not playing the more direct style that we perhaps came used to seeing under Rick Chance, where the team looked to try and kind of knock it forward out wide to the wingers who are quite pacey and really attacking that way. No, this is a lot more measured. It's a lot more patient, the build-up. But it's starting to come together, even though the result was worse.
Oh, it is. And I think you even see that from game to game, that the first match against Charleston, so much of it was very side to side. There wasn't as much verticality. Yes, when they broke through, that was eventually the long ball in from Zambrano into Gabby Torres, and then the finish from Danny Trejo. That was like the one bit of verticality you really saw in that first match versus this past one. They're still playing it out the back, but then it's that bypass into midfield. It's then carrying the ball forward. It's getting out to the wing. It's not going to be that same balls that consistently that you're seeing under the Rick Shan system where it's just over the top. It's going to corner. They can play that when they need to, but that's just not where you're going to see the norm. And it was the little things where when you can bypass levels, where then you get Arteaga or whoever's playing up top in the mix where they're able to check down, lay it off. You saw a beautiful combination where you had Uzo to Trejo to Arteaga back to Uzo for a shot outside the box. It's those little combinations that they have the playmakers now in the midfield on the wings to do that. And once that starts happening, that's going to unlock this entire offense. But again, like we say with everything, it just takes time.
Yeah, and I think, look, there's something here as well that I'd say, Max, you brought up after the Charleston game, one of the stats that you'd like to throw up there was the final third entries, right? Yeah. And so in that game, PHNX Rising had about half the number of final third entries that Charleston Battery had.
Yep.
In this game, PHNX Rising had 37 final third entries to San Diego's 27.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're doing the right things. They're starting to do the right things. One of the biggest problems here, and I know Michael's going to pounce on this one because we understand, Michael, there in the chat that you have an anti-Arteaga agenda. It's the shots. And it's not just Arteaga. It's the entire team. The shooting is relatively mediocre. I mean, if we take a look in just a second now about the shot map from that game, you can see here. So there are, on the left-hand side of your screen, you got the shots that were on target. There's 3 shots on target. Only one of them really comes from inside the penalty area. One of them is from inside that arc.
Yep.
Just outside, and one of them is from even further away than that. Then you have a mess of shots that are off target. I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 inside the penalty area that are off target, of which 4 of those are pretty central, I'd say. You got another 5th, which also falls within the confines. If you just extended that 6-yard area line out, falls within there, and they are shots that are off target. And then another 4 there that are blocked as well. But what you're seeing here is that Rising's shots on target, actually, a lot of them came from further out. The shots that are further inside that you'd be hoping they're going to challenge the goalkeeper with are not challenging the goalkeeper in that position. And that's why, I mean, I find it intriguing for... We were chatting about this earlier, weren't we, Max? About Koke Vegas being named as man of the match for that game by San Diego's fans. What did he do? 3 shots, and to be honest, most of them were pretty much straight at him. And he was named Team of the Week. Like, really? Really? He didn't have enough to do. Rising shot themselves in the foot in this game. Koke Vegas did not rescue San Diego in that match.
He went to ground like once
they were straight at him.
On that shot from Carlos Harvey. The best shot that Rising registered was that shot where Carlos Harvey had it outside the box. He went to ground. That was like the only thing he really faced. Like, why are you being named Team of the Week? Get out of here.
It's nonsensical. I don't get it. I don't think I'll ever get it. But hey, apparently man of the match and Team of the Week for Koke Vegas.
Yeah, man,
all right.
That's the standard. No, but I think seeing, with these different lineups and with the different midfielders coming into flux, with Rising, this isn't going to be an easy fix, especially from up top. Regardless, we have number 9. I don't think the problem is that, yes, Arteaga can finish chances a bit better and maybe put themselves in better positions. But I don't think that is the core issue of this team and the lack of quality chances. It's hard to pinpoint exactly what it is. I think it might be like you just need to have a bit more of the movement coming from that attackers, pushing up in the midfield. Again, you already saw an improvement with Carlos Harvey in the lineup because then it showed that Zambrano could actually play a bit more freer. And again, he had the assist to the assist in that first match as well. So again, give it time with all these things, but it's going to be an entire team effort. It's not just limited to one player. In my opinion, I know there are those in the chat who will disagree with me, and you're entitled to, and that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of other things I'd also pull from that game. I'd talk about the fact that San Diego Loyal were held to, I believe it was 33% possession in that game, which is actually, shout out to Peyton Gallagher from the radio team who sent this over to me earlier, but that is the lowest percentage of possession that San Diego Loyal in their club history have ever been held to, which on the one hand shows you that possession it can be overrated.
It can be overrated, especially when you're chasing a game and when you're needing to build up play. But it's
interesting. The closest they came was they were held to about 38% possession against New Mexico last year in one game, which for the last 10 plus minutes, they were down to 10 men.
But this also doesn't, but that also comes into play that possession is like Rising during the first half. Were the more possession-heavy team. They were the more dominant team. Like
they won that first half.
That is not a fluke.
They won that first half.
That is not a fluke. They did win the first half. Again,
not on the scoreline. They were 1-0 down in the break. But it felt like they were the better team for most of that first half.
And this is where I think where people say they only, and we're going to get into this in the next segment, but this is where people who, if you only watch the scoreline or if you only see the highlights and you say it's the same way we've been playing last year, it's just not true. It is different this time around. And there are just those games where sometimes you win all of the battles you need to, except the other team just is honestly a bit more clinical when they need to. That's what happened against San Diego. Do you expect teams to capitalize on that with that efficiency? You really don't. Do you expect Rising to get a bit more to the average and start hitting some more of those shots and getting more attacking? Yeah, you do. Again, it's just that's kind of how those things stack up. It was San Diego's home opener there, so it's just
no. They played Detroit first there.
Apologies,
the second home.
Thank you, but yes, it's like still regardless, it's something that Rising's just building up to. Like give it time. That's what we're going to keep stressing.
Look, and Juan said this after the game. He's like, look, this project of how they want to play from San Diego's side has been in the process from the start. From Phoenix Rising's side, it is a brand new team that has been together for about 7 weeks and has been able to properly implement the changes that Juan Guerra wants over that time, pretty much. I mean, Juan took over partway through last season, too late to make any real structural changes. There were tactic changes, yes, but when most of those players are gone, I mean, again, there were 2 players who started this game that were here last season.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get... I mean, one person... I tell you what, we'll give a shout-out, actually. Should we give a shout-out to John Morrissey of Backheeled and USL Tactics fame, who, despite a 3-0 loss, decided that Phoenix Rising should move up 3 places in the power rankings, then have 6th by his margin. So
I like that.
That's impressive. Being in 6th place when you got 1 point off of 2 games
could be 0 points.
Could be a lot worse. But I'm intrigued because then you look at Tampa Bay who drew and they're down 6 places.
I mean, it shows that Rising, even despite the score lines of this past match, even in the first one, they are holding their own on the road when they can, and you can hold your own on the road as well when you stock up with our friends at Circle K. Gotta love everything they got going on. Stocking up for March Madness for those who partake. They got Polar Pops, so you can stay cold for longer. It's getting hot out. Iced coffee, just $1.89. 12 packs of beer for just $9.99. Red Bulls are on the cheap. You got buy 2, get 1 free. Fast Twitch 12-ounce bottles. All different types of things. Got in-store sweepstakes going on. All different types of stuff, and make sure you're not missing out on all the great stuff and be stocked all March Madness long. Head to circlek.com/store-locator. That's circlek.com/store-locator to find Circle K's near you. They got all kinds of amazing things going on. Support our friends at Circle K when you're on the road, when you're home, all of that good jazz. And while you're doing that, grab some 4 Peaks. While you're there, for those of you who are fans of the NFL football, Cardinals got a new coach, a new GM, got the third pick in the draft, big opportunity for them. Best place to take in this monumental moment for the team is at the NFL draft. Or if you're in town, go to Four Peaks. Go to their 8th Street pub on April 27th. You must be 21 years or older to enjoy responsibly. We got a golden lager, sir. You're drinking a Wow.
We got a Wow.
We got the tower going with some Suns brew.
Yeah.
We got all different types of things here. And we shout out our friend, Mr. Craig Morgan, who's actually just off screen. He hosted a very nice St. Patrick's Day party for us, and Four Peaks hooked us up plentiful with some delicious beverages. So thank you, Four Peaks, for everything you guys do. And please support them by drinking some beer responsibly, 21 years older.
Alas, the boy, our friends at Four Peaks did not hook me up when I was in San Diego that night. But
they're not miracle workers.
Anyway, they're not miracle workers.
Anyway, so we wanted to, we alluded to it in right before I did some amazing transitions. See, I didn't pat myself during on the back during transitions.
You pat yourself on the back now, though, Max.
Got him. No, but we alluded to it before.
That back is sufficiently patted by your own.
I'm just gonna do a little more. Someone's got to do it anyway. Yeah. We alluded to it a bit before that there's some hot takes going on, and we had a wonderful suggestion.
No. Hang on. I'm interrupting you there. Hot takes is one way of putting it. Utterly dire, atrocious.
You're much nicer than I am.
Like, quite frankly, incompetent.
What would you say? Daft? Is that a right word to put it?
Well, you're saying daft. I'd say moronic. They're very different.
Tomato. Anyway, we had a nice suggestion on our post game to perhaps display some of these takes, however you want to qualify them. And we have a couple. For those of you on screen, we will read a handful of them out on audio for those who are listening. Owen, why don't you take the first one?
I did actually cheat here because one of the ones later on is from Twitter as well, but we'll go with the Facebook ones initially. So here's a quote. "This is how we have played for years. I'm literally nervous the entire game because one bad pass and it's a goal. Was hoping this would change with the new coach and roster, but apparently not." Now, I don't know about you, Max, but I am looking at this playing style where it's a possessive-based playing style that is quite slow out the back, that is quite deliberate and methodical in its nature, and comparing it to what things were under Rick Chance, and it is utterly night and day.
Yeah.
Now, the results early doors may look the same, but the fact is, this playing style, no, they have not played like this for years by any stretch of the imagination.
For sure.
So, yeah, that's not great. But move on to the next Facebook one there, Max.
Of course. Coaching change, almost an entire roster change. It's still the same results. Looks like another long season ahead of us.
It's 2 games in.
We're 2 games in, folks.
It's 2 games in.
By saying there's a coaching change and almost an entire roster change, that pretty much just means you have to take your time. It's not like they're trying to run it back with the same dang thing, man. What you mean?
Yeah.
What you mean?
All right, next one. I'm moving to the next one. The attack was good, but the defense was terrible. I'm sorry. What game did you watch?
The scoreline was 3-0.
What game did you watch?
Again, for those who did not catch, it was 3-0. San Diego won. I just want to make sure we're clarifying that. All righty. Maybe, and by the way, for those who listen on audio, we're not total dicks. There's no one's name mentioned here. Just
no, exactly. We cut all the names out. We're nice. We're fair.
We're respectful dicks. Next one. Maybe if they focus more on training their skills instead of, quote, team bonding exercises that don't contribute to the game, they could play better.
Now, this was followed up by a separate comment where they'd screenshotted a video from Rising with the boys for having a little bit of fun, doing some kind of game where they were, I don't know, kind of trying to toss the ball up with like this fabric they had and trying to keep it up. I'm just bemused by this one. You've had a mass overhaul in the playing staff.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, there are so few players that remain. Donald King and Kevon Lambert were the only 2 that started that game in San Diego that were on the team last year.
Yep.
And more importantly, I'm sorry, most of these guys are in their mid-20s. What playing skills do you think they're going to gain at this point? I'm sorry, a lot of the problems right now, I think, are chemistry, genuinely. And you want to try and work on some of that. And look, part of that is just getting the guys used to each other, getting them having fun with each other and building that cohesion as a team. That's important.
We're the same complaints from we're a lot of the same complaints from fans early last season, not these guys look joyless. These guys aren't playing with that fun. They just don't seem up to it. Well, what do you think's going to happen? How else do you try to work around this by building team chemistry? We're 2 games in, let it go.
Max, I tell you what, you take the Twitter one because I want the last one.
Of course,
here.
I figured you would. All right. The team is absolutely terrible. Can't believe I renewed my season tickets.
Guy hasn't even seen a game in person this year, and he's saying they look terrible.
You beat me to it, man. I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say to that one. All right, you got the last one. This is a good one.
Oh man, Fire King.
First off, I didn't know you could fire a player. That's
I know.
It's
it's great. Yep. It's. I mean, there was another one. I tried looking for it. I couldn't find it again, but I recall it from Sunday night, where someone said like, get rid of King and put Kev Lambert back in the midfield, which is. I don't even know how to address some of that, but Fire King. Oh man, I don't get the Darnell King hate. He was not the sloppiest defender in the team in terms of passing. If you look at the numbers, he was, I believe, second in terms of passing accuracy out of the back. I don't know which goal I'd attribute to his fault, if any. So I'm struggling there. I feel as though it just bemuses me, and it's always the same. It's always the same. People keep checking out this. Oh, it's Darnell's fault. Why? Yeah. Last season, Darnell was being played in a really an enviable kind of position, whereby he was expected to be an incredibly attacking fullback.
Yeah.
And then people are saying, well, he's out of position now. Right, but people know what he's like. People know what he's capable of.
This suits him a lot better.
This suits him a lot better. I feel as though he was a lot better overall. I mean, look, he's not playing badly. Why are we scapegoating him as an individual? Why is it always Darnell King? I don't get it. I just don't get it. But it is always Darnell King. You see it in all the things. It's like people will say that he should be stripped of the captaincy. You're saying it all last year, and I just... Every time you actually speak to anyone inside the club, you speak to any of the boys in the locker room, you speak to any of them, they tell you actually he's such a positive influence in that group. That he's a guy who makes it fun to come to work every day, even when they were struggling really badly last year. He was that ray of positivity in the locker room. They get in, he cracks a joke. He's just a fun guy to be around. I mean, what is it? They called him last year. They were calling him Uncle D.
Yeah.
Right. It's him. He's exactly the kind of person you want in the locker room, and the kind of person in some ways you want as a captain.
For sure. And
I don't understand. I don't understand the hate for Darnell.
And even when he wasn't wearing the armband to start in that first match against Charleston, he came on, grabbed the armband for a bit, but even regardless of that, they used to grab the interview from coach that he's still part of, essentially their like leadership committee, so to speak, that he is still a major influence, regardless whether you are the person wearing the armband or not. He has a leadership role on this team. And I don't get the hate.
And when he's on the field, he is wearing that armband.
Yes, correct.
That's what Juan said that day. It's like, look, the leadership committee is 4 people. It's Darnell King, it's Kevon Lambert, it's Daniel Crutzen, and it's Manuel Artega. But Darnell King is guy number 1 on that list. Kev Lambert is number 2.
Right.
2 guys who realistically are the ones who've been around for the longest time.
Right. And like I said,
at this club.
Darnell wasn't wearing it because he didn't start. When he came on, took it over. But
I just don't get the Darnell King hate. And I don't even know what to say.
It's just hard to nitpick anything this early on in the season. But like, again, just hot takes like that from, again, one of 2 guys who started who were carryovers. Like, I don't get it. Anyway. Yeah, let's move on. We do have actually one more weird take, but this actually comes from the USL, not from, I just thought this was amusing, a nice little palate cleanser. If you see here, those who are listening on audio, Astro Turf, okay, because, well-known Twitter account Astro Turf. Our 3rd annual Astro Turf celebration starts now. We're excited to spend this day sharing giveaways, testimonials, videos, stories, and more. A lot of hashtags. And then USL. Quote tweeted with, "We're excited to celebrate Astro Turf Day with our partners from at Astro Turf USA." Shout out to ACLs, shout out to joints, shout out to ankles, everything like that. Really just shout out to nice Astro Turf burns. Why are we celebrating turf, bro?
But Max,
no, okay.
Have you seen the quality of some of the grass pitches in this league?
Yeah, that's a
Have
low
you
bar.
seen just how bad some of those are?
Stop. I don't care.
Need I remind you of Las Vegas?
No.
Need I remind you of Memphis 901?
Stop.
With the baseball mound still visible.
I might take that
under
over
that field.
I might take that over AstroTurf. Shout out in the chat if you've ever been personally victimized by AstroTurf or any turf in your life.
To be fair, I have as well.
Out there. See,
yeah.
Thank you. Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, but that is a kind of weird transition into, there are a lot of other matches from across the USL. I know we touched on a couple of them during post game. Hit me with anything else that stood out to you, from over the weekend, or any noticeable results now that the table is shaping up so monumentally after 2 weeks.
You know what? It's the one thing I will say here. I want to toss this back to you. I'm intrigued. I've seen how they're reacting there. I'm intrigued how you personally would react. If you're El Paso Locomotive, you have 3 games into the season. You have lost all 3 games. All 3 of them are at home. Are you concerned at this point?
I'm definitely not. I mean, I'm not happy. No, listen, this is something where we can't, it would be kind of hypocritical of us. And I get everything is contextual. It'd be hypocritical of us to say, hey, we're only 2 games in. Rising has 1 point. And yes, they have played away from home in both matches. But hey, there's so much more of the season left. There's no time to panic. Don't freak out. It can be hypocritical if we then turn around and say, well, yeah, El Paso, yes, they played 3 at home. Yes, they don't have the same point total. But, they should freak out. Give it time. If we're maybe talking about come the end of April, or like hell, even halfway through April, that's maybe a different story. But I mean, shoot, it is so early on. We have some weird surprise people at the top of the table and just like, who are actually making some moves. Like, shoot, man, again, Phoenix Rising, we were picking them to be hosting a playoff match at worst, maybe a fifth seed, and they're right now 11th. Again, it is so early on the season. Why are we freaking out about this? Like the difference between 12th and 1st, it is only 6 points. And because there's only 2 to 3 games played, like give it time. Again, the goal differential, it's just not crazy. I don't know why people freak out after 2 to 3 matches. Again, I'm going to hate this because Mikey is probably chomping at the bit, but look how Man U's season started. They were in relegation battle after 2-3 matches, and look how they're turning out. I mean, no Spurs, they're not fighting top 4. Hello, but it's just tough. It's tough.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, right? El Paso's fans seem to be, on the whole, quite patient, which is interesting. The way they're looking at it is when you compare the new team under the new coach compared to what they were under John Hutchinson, where they had an equally slow start last year as well.
Yeah.
Is that they're saying, well, look, we're working into good positions. They've actually outshot the opposition in all 3 games so far this season. But they've got very little to show for it now. And 17% or 18% of their home games are gone.
Yeah.
All 3 of those games are at home. In fact, their next game now, they do travel on the road for the first time. They're playing Lou City away. So they could be 4 games with no points. There's a realistic possibility because Lou City are one of the real heavyweights in this league. I just... You can never take for granted the idea that you're going to go there and actually come away with anything.
Oh, for sure. I don't know. It's especially when teams starting out this early. I just
2 games, 6 points.
Again, you just gotta give it time, man. Again, if we're talking mid-April, late April, maybe this is a different story. But it's only 3 games in.
It is. One of the other teams, though, again, in its early doors, maybe is it too early to call the panic button? I don't know. Memphis 901. Now they are struggling a little bit more, I think. To me, that they are in more of a cause for concern, perhaps. Even though they massively outshot Loudoun United, you lose that opener to Loudoun United 3-1 at home.
Yeah.
Not good. You then go have another home game. So again, it's 2 home games.
And Loudoun has had
they lose to Pittsburgh Riverhounds.
It's 2 matches in, but I mean, even Loudoun is a bit of a surprise. So so far this season. I don't know, man. Like again, for anything this time around, I need just a larger sample size. And it is interesting. You look at the table, there's a few surprises here and there, but I mean, I think especially in the West, it's like, okay, checks out. East, bit more of the weirdness and the chaos, but just that's why you have to just give these things time. I'm not judging anything 2-3 matches in. Again, talk to me end of April. That's my story and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, so one team that we did get a first look at actually was New Mexico United. They didn't play on the opening weekend. They played on this past weekend on Saturday against Miami FC. Needed a late penalty to get themselves lifted up over Miami FC. First game for Greg Hurst and for Santi Moa, who were both taken off in that game. So I'm intrigued, I think, more broadly just to see how they do. They both came out at the same time, actually, 71st minute.
Yeah.
So I'm intrigued with those 2. I mean, Santi Moa was replaced by Josh Suggs comes on. Josh Joling also comes on. It's an interesting one for me, that. But I don't know. I mean, we'll see. New Mexico are playing. They are not playing this upcoming weekend, actually.
And they've only played one match.
They only played one match, so they're
weird.
falling behind in terms of the games.
And yet they're still 6th in the table. Again, just go figure.
Yeah, we'll see. And Michael actually making a good point there about Memphis 901. Bill Hammond coming in. Which, not only that, but apparently the reports so far are saying that if a foreign club or an MLS club comes in for him, they have accepted that they will waive any transfer fee. Which is interesting given what happened with Phil Goodrum when there was the talk that the club was standing in the way of him making a move up to MLS or to Europe. And he didn't seem that happy about that, which is not a good thing to have in a star striker. When your star striker's coming back and says he wanted to move, but you blocked it. Not great, but
I love the drama.
Yeah. I mean, you almost have to wonder if that kind of clause is put in because of the situation with him.
It's very possible, man. I mean, I don't know. These things develop, and people develop. The team or the players. You develop reputations, and this is just I don't know, covering their arses.
Yeah. Well, let's have a look. Actually, we have a look at the games on the weekend.
Let's do it.
I'll start with Saturday, actually. So I'll run through these. You've got an early morning clash. You want it 11 a.m. here in Arizona. Hartford Athletic hosting Birmingham Legion. Legion coming up in a couple of weeks' time for PHNX Rising. You might want to keep an eye on that one. Just see how they're looking. Kind of get a feel for what they're doing there. I mean, they had a late winner the other day against Tulsa. Coming back from 2-1 down to win 3-2 at home.
Of course.
Will El Paso struggles continue? They're playing Loose City. That's a midday kickoff. Midday kickoff there in Detroit, hosting Indy 11 in a local derby for them in a lot of ways. There's two teams that have always met in pre-seasons back in the day when Detroit were in NISA in the lower levels. One of the closer by teams there. That one kicking off at 1 o'clock here, of course, because Detroit tends to kick these early season games off early because it's pretty cold up there. Some of the other games to look for: Charleston Battery, unbeaten still through 2 games. They're playing Tampa Bay Rowdies that ultimately couldn't get the result against Orange County, so have to wait and see. San Antonio, Colorado Springs.
That to me, it kind of screams as the marquee one.
But is Colorado Springs a marquee, really? I'm struggling to get excited about that Colorado Springs team.
I mean, it's, of course, the San Antonio carries weight, but I'm even thinking, it's Colorado Springs and how they finished last year. Also, if you look at the rest of the games here, I mean, maybe San Diego's the only one that kind of
for me
that screams. I still like San Antonio. I want to see how they're going to be. They keep on getting tested against teams who, even last season, they made a bit of a run. You're facing more formidable opposition now. But yes, San
Antonio are clear for me in that game against Colorado Springs. I'd be surprised
you would assume so, but you never know early in the season. Let's see how it goes. But yes,
Tulsa Loudoun, the next game in the list, but that's not that exciting. No. Even though Loudoun have gone off to a very good start. Two teams that I think maybe it's historical bias. Maybe it's looking at how they've been in this league in the past, and you look at it and just go, I can't get excited about that game. Orange County, Vegas, another game of the bottom dwellers. Yeah, we'll see. Sac Republic, San Diego Loyal, though, for me, 7 o'clock kickoff.
Yeah.
That's a big one. I'm interested to see what happens there.
Do you have a winner in that one?
Oh, I really don't. You know what? San Diego will not come out of that one as winners, I don't think. So their 100% record will come to an end.
Okay.
In the third game.
Okay, so you're saying you will not taking them to win.
I'm taking a draw or a Sacramento win in that game, is my mind.
Okay.
And then the other game at 7 o'clock, Oakland Roots against Memphis 901.
Yeah.
A couple of Friday night games as well, actually. By the way, 4 o'clock, Pittsburgh Riverhounds playing Miami FC. That could be an interesting one.
Yeah, sure.
RGV against Monterey Bay at 5 as well.
RGV, baby. Gosh. Yeah, a lot of that.
Down in the valley where dreams go to die.
It just feels weird Rising not playing, man. I mean, it's going to be...
Hey, it's an international break. We have been screaming for these in the past. And especially with a certain player called up that we will touch on later.
Well, yeah, with World Cup being all late, this past year, it's just such a weird time for it all. But hey, so be it. And while we'll be watching the USL matches, everything going on at the international break, you can partake, and we'll be partaking in our friends at OG's. They got a lot of great stuff, as we know. They got their strawberries and cream happy balance gummies. We have some exciting stuff that we are going to be involved with them in the next coming month in April. Stay tuned for that. But they got the happy balance gummies, like I mentioned. They got the sleep edition, the minis, everything like that. Keep it going. Or if you're like Bandito's Bluebird, only one game to watch, Croatia versus Wales, or not. You can make sure you're watching with your friends at OGs. That Wales game might put you to sleep. Take their sleep edition. Hey-o.
It's a midday game. Come on.
I'm just kidding. I'll watch Croatia. But yeah, you can find them at
Right. Cut him off, please. Sean,
I have to read the disclaimer.
Please just cut him off.
You can
After
find them at
your
local you can find them at your local dispensary by checking out ogsbrands.com. Again, that is OGEEZ brands.com. You must be 21 plus years or older to enjoy. And while you're doing that, make sure you're wearing some nice Bad Birdie merch. If you want to look like me, but better, or as good, whatever, take your pick.
Better.
Okay, they got polos, quarters.
Better than Max.
Polos, it's hard to do. Polos.
We're trying to sell these things, Max.
What do you mean?
They're gonna look better than you.
Yeah, but I also look good in a Bad Birdie. What you mean? I'm gonna be rocking them at our PHNX tea party this Friday.
To be fair.
I'm gonna be rocking them at our PHNX tea party this Friday. But they got new polos, quarter zips, hats, everything like that. Use code PHNX Sports_15 for 15% off your next order at badbirdiegolf.com. Sir, you alluded to international duty, and we actually do have one call up.
There is
from
a call
PHNX
up.
Rising.
There is a call up that's already been announced. That is Kevon Lambert will be linking up with the Jamaican national team. He'll be going with them to Mexico City to play against Mexico in Azteca in the last round there of the CONCACAF Nations League group stage matches. So
Yes,
shout out to Kevon Lambert. He, of course, was frozen out of that Jamaica squad for quite a while, actually. Very much on the periphery of that team.
Yeah.
He now seems as though under the new management there, he is getting more opportunities. It's good to see him go. Michael made a comment way back.
I was going to say,
we're going to go back to it.
First shout out Mavens Keep. Good luck on the Bad Birdie hat. I just saw producer Sean put that up. But yes, Mikey,
made a comment about how after all the arguments of putting him as a centre-back, Kev Lambert, we're finally seeing him play as a centre-back for PHNX Rising. And Jamaica, when they release the squad, say that he is a midfielder.
They're just trying to be original. They're trying to reinvent the wheel, baby.
Fit it all in. But yeah, they will be playing this upcoming weekend. They're going to Mexico on Sunday. That rounds out their Nations League campaign.
You both have been to Azteca.
I have been to Azteca. Went down there, so Cruz Azul playing Atlas in Mexican League down there. But yes, Jamaica currently top of Group A, although Mexico have a game in hand. So Jamaica, 5 points from 3 games. Mexico, 4 points from 2 games. A Jamaica win on Sunday will seal top spot in that and a place in the Nations League semifinals this coming June.
Do they get it?
I don't know. They put in a good shift there in qualifying.
Sure.
I think they held up remarkably well. I think they really just battled in that game. And so I'm intrigued to see it. Of course, the US also in action this coming weekend. And much like in that Mexico group, in Group D, the US currently in second position out of 3.
Yep.
They have 2 games yet to play. El Salvador 1 point ahead of them, but with 1 game less to play. The US will be playing Grenada. Kick this off before going to coming back to the US actually to play against El Salvador in that final match of the group. Max, the US gonna win the group in the end, get through and defend their Nations League title?
You already know, baby. You already know. Absolutely.
Well, you look at some of the other teams that are currently in contention actually around the board here. Panama, top of Group B. 4 points clear of Costa Rica in second spot. Costa Rica again have the game in hand, so they can do it. They've got Martinique away to start it off, and then they host Panama. So if they beat Martinique, they host Panama at the end. You'd say Costa Rica, because they're hosting Panama. To me, they're the favorites in this
Costa
one.
Rica's such a weird team, man. Like they got
very
they're so weird. We're like on one end, they are old as heck. Keylor Navas, like respect to him. He's had a great career. He's way into the twilight of it, still performing in the Prem League, but like, just past it. But then on the other hand, they're playing like 19-year-olds consistently. They have a super young team, especially through the midfield and up front. So go figure. I think you kind of seen the last of that kind of generation. So, man, yeah, I don't know. I think Panama will take the top of this group.
And Group C, this is the one that intrigues me because Canada won the octagonal.
That's a weird, yeah.
In World Cup qualifying. But Canada are currently in second, much like a lot of the favourites. They're in second at the moment because they have played one game fewer than their opponents here. But the difference here is that where in most of the groups you find that the favourite is 1 point behind, or I mean, in Costa Rica's point, they are 4 points behind, yes, but there's a weaker team at the bottom that you'd imagine they're going to beat. That's not really the case for Canada. They have to travel away to Curacao, a Curacao team that have caused a little bit of noise sometimes. They actually got through to the knockout stages, I remember, at least of the 2019 Gold Cup. Some players in there, Leandro Bacuna and the likes, who got a little bit of talent in that squad, to be fair to them. And they've got to travel away there, and then they have to host Honduras and hope that they get that result against Honduras. Now, Honduras hosting them in March. I don't know where's that game being played. Could be a bit chilly up there.
Could be.
Honduras. Not quite as chilly as when Canada hosted Mexico, and that one, I'm sure you can remember that in the octagonal in the World Cup qualifying. That was a January game, I believe.
Here it's cold up there. Here it's cold up there.
Pretty cold up there.
Pretty snowy.
Pretty snowy in that game. But of course, being an international window, not just CONCACAF that's getting involved here.
Here, if you're a Euro snob, you got that thing going for you too.
The European qualifiers kicking off for Euro 2024.
Yeah, man, we got
those games starting.
Gosh, we gotta let's run through some of the notable ones.
Notable matches.
Let's see. Ooh,
Thursday
this week,
Italy are hosting England.
Man,
that's going to be an interesting game.
That's called a barn burner, if you will. But yeah, that's
and
a big
also
one.
On Thursday, Cristiano Ronaldo with another opportunity to ramp up his goal tally. They're hosting Liechtenstein.
That's very small. Country.
They are very small.
I'm no geography.
That's a nice away trip.
I'm no geography expert. I hear it's beautiful, but that is a very tiny country.
Very beautiful country there. But that game being played in Portugal. Some of the other games of interest.
Friday.
Maybe Bosnia or Iceland intrigues me.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Wait. No. What about the Giants? The Giants of North Macedonia. We cannot overlook them.
North Macedonia.
We cannot overlook them.
Slayers of Italy.
The Slayers of Giants.
The Slayers of Italy, and they're actually a pretty big team. Yeah.
Come on.
Facing Malta. Oh, yeah. But no, looking at Friday, actually, some of the games that intrigue me. Sweden, Belgium.
Yes.
That could be an interesting one. You're the biggest one on Friday, though.
I think
by a long shot.
I think I know where you're going with this.
France are facing the Netherlands.
Okay, I honestly thought you were going to kind of trick me out on that one. But yes.
You thought I was going to go with Czech Republic, Poland.
I honestly thought you were, yeah.
That's also probably a good game.
Yes, but no, France and the Dutch. Interesting.
Oh, that could be a very intriguing. Of course, remember that in these groups now, after the Euros expanded to 24 teams, we're looking at now the top 2 teams go through. Playoff places are decided by Nations League performance, not by these groups. So you really got to do well for yourself getting in that top 2 there. And looking at Saturday, of course.
Let's go.
It's the big one. Croatia against Wales.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. That's probably the biggest one on the slate, actually, for that day.
Considering that Erling Haaland is ruled out for Norway against Spain, I would agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give you that one. I'll give you that. If Erling Haaland was available.
I think that actually would be a notable one. But
although it's in Spain, I think in Norway they'd have more of a chance.
This is fair.
Away from home. Against that Spain team, I don't know.
Yeah,
but then the fixtures continue. England hosting Ukraine on Sunday.
We just get little Israel-Kosovo shout out on Saturday. Let's go.
2 teams that don't qualify. Great. England against Ukraine.
He's not wrong, but
will be playing on Sunday. We'll see if Ukraine can get a result against the English. Fingers crossed. And then there's a second opportunity.
Wait,
of course.
You rooting for England's downfall? Whoa. We can't just gloss
over
that.
That would be such
never,
a shocker.
Come on.
How would I possibly want to see England not qualify for a tournament? I don't know. Anyway, and then there's also another opportunity on Sunday for Cristiano Ronaldo looking to just dump a load of goals on someone. Luxembourg. They're playing.
Really generous.
Liechtenstein and Luxembourg. Wow, big hitters for Portugal this international window.
You are being way too generous.
Let's see. Anything else of real intrigue? Ireland, France. Thierry Henry revenge match right there. Remember that one? 2009? The playoffs to get into the South Africa World Cup with Thierry Henry's cheeky little handball on the line.
He would never do something like that.
Oh, intriguing. Besides that, let's see. Turkey, Croatia. Turkey, a little bit weak. Look, the group that Wales are in right now, I'm being real now, is I think a good opportunity for Wales to qualify because Turkey have been weaker in past years.
Mm-hmm.
But there's some interesting matchups in there. Also, shout out Scotland, Spain.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
And it's in Scotland, so it's in Glasgow. I don't know. We'll see. Scotland had a little bit of a resurgence going in towards the World Cup. They made it into the playoffs for that, but did not progress, losing to Ukraine in the first round of the playoffs.
Well, this is fair because the next time we will see these slate of matches is going to be in June. So we got some time.
Yeah, we got some time to think about some of these after this round.
Absolutely.
So let's enjoy it now while we can. Gotta love international football. I'm sorry. Like, there's people over there watching the World Baseball Classic Championship game. And
sports gonna sports.
Gotta love international sports. Really. It's so fun, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It is I love it. I love getting out of
that's awesome, man.
Getting out of the club scene and getting into international matches.
That's true. It's very, very fun to watch. Very fun to watch. And it's even more fun to watch in person. And you can do so with our friends at Game Time. You can save up to 60% on tickets when you buy your tickets last minute. Best way to support us is by buying your tickets through the link in the description. Again, that also includes Rising matches. Other, if you want to travel throughout
Speaking
the
of
US,
international matches, there is the US are going to play Mexico in Glendale in April. So just hang on tight. If you don't like the prices of those tickets, just wait.
Use the link in our description. Do it.
Have a look. Yeah. Hop on the Game Time app. See what you can get.
Do it. It's going to be a good
Close
time.
to the time.
Heck yeah, baby. Yeah, but no, use Game Time app. Always got good promos and whatnot going on there. And then while you're at it, check out what we're doing tomorrow. We're doing our first PHNX Community Day. Help us as we're giving back to the community, as Super Chat proceeds from every PHNX show will go towards benefiting Ryan House. You can show your fandom and help give back to those in need. Really cool stuff we are doing. It's just nice to always give back in that type of aspect with what we go on doing shows. Producer Sean, you might be able to help with some context. I heard a rumor you guys are doing something a little spicy on the PHNX Sun Devils pod.
Well, not them, me specifically. I
did
thank you. Put my beautiful hair on the line.
He does have nice hair.
Thank you. If we get $200 worth of super chats during the Sun Devil show tomorrow, I will dye my hair, and the highest bid gets to choose the color. I do have veto powers over the color, though. I'm not that bold. But if I get
I'm sorry, I was about to just chuck some money at this.
I'm very well. Hold on, because if we get $400 during the show, I'm going to dye my hair multiple colors or a pattern, and at that point, there's nothing I'm going to do about that. There's no vetoing. So
no veto once you're over 400, right? So get that money in. Tune into the Sun Devil show tomorrow. And
I'm no mathematician.
Let's leave him looking embarrassing.
I'm no mathematician.
Please.
Here's what you do: you take yourself and 79 of your friends, go watch PHNX Sun Devils pod, and each of you throw $5. That's how you get to it. I'm pretty sure that math adds up. Boom.
Listen,
there we go.
If 80 of y'all want to show up to the Sun Devils show tomorrow, I'll dye my hair 3 colors.
Whoa. You heard it here first. We're talking about tri-color, baby. Tri-color. But yes, shout out all of our shows doing amazing things, just trying to benefit the community. And also, speaking of community, we're all about community. There are still spots available for our PHNX Tea Party this Friday, the 24th. Join us for a night of golf, food, drinks, contests, prizes, and more. The Suns, they're surging. Come watch Booker, rest of the team battle as they're facing the Kings, who are weirdly good at the sports this year. Go figure. They got their whole lineup. So check it out. We're going to be doing a Suns watch party. All the other things I mentioned. It's going to be a great time. Stuff starts at 5. You can get your links in the description. Check it out now. And if you're a diehard, check the Discord for your link in there. Buddy, anything else before we sign off?
Give that shout out. I know we mentioned it off the top in this show, but let's shout out the first team to win in the US Open Cup first round proper this year.
Oh, yes.
Ocean City Nor'easters, who won 3-1 away to Westchester United. Let's have a look. They will be moving on to the second round, where they will travel away to face the Bobcats of Nisa.
Yes.
In the second round on April 5th. Of course, PHNX Rising hosting Greenville Triumph in that. round. So hey, gotta love the Open Cup. Gotta love the Open Cup.
It's that time of year, folks. Something magical. Where Open Cup, where random teams prosper and MLS teams tumble. And on that note, thank you for listening to the latest edition, episode, whatever, of the PHNX __ Rising Podcast. I guess that's on Twitter. Double the fun. Again, PHNX __ Rising Pod. You can find me on the Twitter at Mr. Max David Simpson. Take out the Mr. It's just Max David Simpson. You can find this guy at OJ Evans 18. But until then,
again, together we are OJ and
Simpson.
Yeah, as was pointed out in our chat once, and it never goes away.
I brought that up once, and I felt dirty saying it, and here we are now, and you just brought it back. But
guys, you gotta wrap the show up. Your white Broncos idling outside.
Okay, on that note, let's get the hell out of here. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you now. Peace.